All right, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Bree Hunter is Fucked. Bree Hunter is fucked from the new apartment. Right, Al?
Yeah. I'm excited to see it because I'm not there in person, obviously, but I'm excited to see it.
But hopefully that'll change pretty soon. Hopefully we'll have you back in quote unquote in studio. Because I need you here desperately. I'm literally drinking my whiskey out of an Iron Maiden coffee mug today, if that's any indication of how things are going right now. So I'm a little bit disheveled, but I'm pushing through.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is this the 20th episode?
This is the 20th episode, which is crazy.
That's a milestone, right?
It is a milestone. I actually, it's a big milestone because I kept telling my family that once we hit 20 episodes, I would go through and, pull out like all of the family appropriate humor and put it into like one big video clip so I could show them, because they always want to listen to the podcast. And I'm like, no, like probably not a good idea. And as you can imagine, but I kept saying to them, I was like, all right, I'll make you a deal. Like once we hit 20 episodes, like I will go through everything, pull out, some clips that are not super raunchy, and I'll, put together like a super clip for everybody. So I think I have to
might have a hard time finding those clips.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, shit, this might actually be like harder than I thought it was going to be. But we'll see. What I'm about to say next is definitely not going to go in the family-friendly clip. I know you know this about me because we've talked about it before, but I was drinking for the fight last night, and I have this thing happen to me where whenever I drink, my nipples get like extremely, extremely pink. And I think it's just like the alcohol like creates inflammation. And so it just like, I just get flushed everywhere, I'm like an Irish person, even though I'm not, I just get very flushed. And my nipples are just like, they're like, I don't know, they look like two like, red traffic lights basically when I start drinking. Like two red stoplights shining out into the night. I like walked past the mirror. I like took my top off because I was really hot. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now? Does that happen to you? Or have you heard of that happening?
No, I can't. I have weird nipples myself, but that hasn't happened. No, is this a new thing you figured out, or has this always been the case?
Well, I mean, I've become a much bigger drinker since I started doing comedy. So it's definitely like it's a new finding in that sense. Like I didn't really drink a lot before, so I didn't notice these things. But now it definitely feels that way. But I feel like it could be an applicable skill. Like I could get a job at like the airport tarmac, like directing the planes in the middle of the night with my like fluorescent nipples. Right? I mean, that's got to be a thing. Or I could be like a crossing guard, or I could like sit on top of an ambulance, and that could be like, like the sirens. Like I'll just be yelling and have my nipples out, and that'll just get everybody out of the way so we can get the patient to the hospital quicker.
I think you're going to cause more accidents than before. I think this might be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just, I try. I want to be, it's like Elon Musk said, like, I want to be useful. So it's like, if I have this thing going on, I always think like, okay, how can my vibrant nipples be useful outside in the world? Or I know you didn't read The Great Gatsby, but that's like we like had to read it in my high school. It was like the theme of our high school. I don't know why. We like read it 4 different times, like in different classes. It was very bizarre. But in like The Great Gatsby, there's like a literary symbol where it's like a green light blinking at the end of a dock. And I'm like, oh, maybe that instead of the green light, it could be like my red nipples. And then my nipples could be a literary symbol that they teach in high school, And it could like mean something. It can have some symbolism, and like kids can write essays about them.
I every time I see videos on sloths, and I see their nails, I think they're pretty, close to your nails. So I think maybe you should get a job in, the wildlife fund or a zoo.
Oh my God, my nails literally could be used as weapons. You're not the first person to tell me that.
Wolverine nails.
They are Wolverine nails for sure. Last night, or no, not last night. I'm sorry. I was like, when I was thinking about like the nipple thing, like, have you ever like had sex or like engaged in a sex act that involved like food? Like, do you bring food into the bedroom, like whipped cream?
No, thank you. This has actually been a topic many of times with me and my friends, and a lot of guys are into that. No, thank you. I can't even watch like a movie with a naked scene while I'm eating a sandwich. It doesn't mix for me.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, no.
I will, like, I'm the complete opposite. Like, I will watch, like, Hostel or Saw while eating food, like, let alone sex scenes. I can watch anything and eat. That's probably my problem. I didn't know you're, like, so anti. Because I feel
it just doesn't blend well. It gives me a gross feeling inside for some reason.
It, like,
you're like George Costanza. There's an episode of Seinfeld where he wants to mix those worlds. He wants to eat a sandwich in bed.
That's like a little bit, like that's not very sexy though. Like I feel like putting something on somebody's body and like licking it off is like a little bit different than having a hoagie post-coitus. Like those are two different things.
I had a friend, I think I told you about him. He was very into ice cream and oral sex. And I don't know, that doesn't mix to me.
Well, that's like a little bit messy. Like I feel like whipped cream is always the go-to, right? Or like I've even seen like a girl put like icing on her boobs for like her man's birthday.
Well, the problem is for me is ice cream is cold. So
Right.
if you have a penis and cold, it will give you a
Shrinkage.
some shrinkage.
That's
Yeah,
so
another Seinfeld
smart.
reference.
I didn't even think about that. Well, you're thinking about shrinkage. I have a lactose issue. So I'm like any milk products during sex we could wind up in the ER. I could go into anaphylactic shock. It's like
We'll make sure to use almond milk or silk.
I know. I need like a vegan whipped cream. Like how fucking LA is that? But I always think about like that show, like Sex, what's it called? Like Sex Put Me in the ER. And I'm like, there is a 98% chance that I will wind up on that show. Like knowing my life, there's like a 98% chance that I'll, I don't know what the Vegas odds are on it, but I will probably end up on Sex Put Me in the ER before I die. I can't do it. I can't do the lactose stuff. And then I thought, like, if it were up to me, like, what do I like? I like spicy. I like buffalo. Like, throw some, Cajun seasoning on my titties. Like, I don't really, whatever.
That could be dangerous. Spice doesn't go well with, eyes or penises or vaginas.
I know, but my nipples, like, they're inflamed anyway because of the alcohol. Like, what's the difference at that point, you know?
Right.
Like,
You're
put
right.
some adobo on them. Who really cares at that point? So, speaking of getting injured, as most of you know, because I did put up a video about it on Instagram, but I was attacked. I'm like laughing about it because that's how I deal with trauma. But I was attacked by some crazy guy when I was jogging last week. And it's just like, who had getting assaulted by a vagrant on their 2020 bingo card? Anybody? Like, I think I win this round. Like, only in Bree Hunter's life would you be spending 20 minutes outside a week during the pandemic and manage to have something bad happen to you inside of those 20 minutes. That would only happen in my life. Who else? Like, I'm barely leaving the apartment.
I mean, the way things are going in 2020, I think there was no better year to start your podcast.
Right, yeah. Well, that's the thing, though, is that, like, my life, like, this has been my, like, people actually thought, like, a few people thought when I posted the video that I was making it up, that, like, it was a bit. And I'm like, that should be the motto for my life. Like, so crazy, you can't make it up. That's... Bree Hunter's life is so batshit crazy, you cannot make it up.
I wish you were that, like, type of improv performer that did... type of jokes like that. You've never done a joke like that, so I don't know why people would think that.
I know, exactly. Like, I was like, I'd have to be like a pretty sinister person to like make up a story about getting attacked and talk about it for 10 minutes to only be like at the end, like, just kidding. This was like, practice for UCB. Like, what asshole is going to do that?
It would be very Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. I would not do that to people. And then it's funny because after it happened, like, I pretty much right away made the video. I was already joking about it and everybody's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And I'm like, they're like, you're so resilient. And I'm like, when your whole life has been chaos since they cut the umbilical cord, you just gain the ability to bounce back quickly. You know, like
Yeah.
when things have just been absolute batshit from your first day on Earth, like you know, like these types of things, you're just like, oh yeah, like I got attacked on Tuesday, my house burned down on Thursday, my boyfriend's cheating on me, but hey, I'm doing a comedy show Saturday night. Can you be there? You know, that's my life. That's basically my life. So yeah, I don't know. I like the one thing was like the first night, like well, literally right after it happened, because it happened at like 10 o'clock at night. After I like came home, cleaned myself up, settled down, I like get into bed and I took something to try to relax, but I couldn't sleep, which is probably normal, you know, like the adrenaline and it's like traumatic and whatever. But normally when I can't sleep, I like just use my vibrator and I just tire myself out. But I couldn't masturbate that night because I couldn't get the thought of the guy's face running at me out of my head.
It's terrifying.
It is. And so, like, I swear to God, my first thought was like, if this asshole attacking me has somehow impeded my masturbation rituals, I'm going to find him and attack him and shove him to the ground. Like, you are not going to fucking ruin that for me. So I was laying there that night thinking like I need to go to, I don't care if I have to go to therapy, if I have to do like shock treatment, I need to get over this because there is no way that, you know, I'm going to have a problem getting off because I can't get this asshole's, you know, image out of my brain. So,
you know, in retrospect, falling in the shower really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew that was God's, like, it was like the PSAT from God to getting attacked. He was like, let's see if she can handle this before we send a lunatic out, you know, to attack her in the middle of the night. It's like, okay, I'm almost afraid. I hope that's it. You know, I hope there's no like LSAT or like MCAT after this where it's going to be like, oh, you know, now she's going to get jumped by a gang. By December,
you're going to be in a body cast, Brie.
Yeah, I mean, please don't even like knock on wood, dude. I mean, I don't trust anything anymore. I never know what's going to happen in my life. But yeah, I'm like, and then I told you I was like collecting weapons off of Amazon all week because I'm like, okay, I need to find ways to protect myself. And you said that you were like, you better get something that you're prepared to use. Do you think I'm not prepared to attack someone with a weapon? Like, why did you say that?
Well, because I think you brought up a taser. And I actually have a taser. My brother gave me one when I moved to Hollywood for some reason. Because I'm 6'5" and 300 pounds, like I need a taser. Anyway, so he gave me a taser, and I'm using this thing, and it's kind of difficult to use. You know, it's something you have to kind of try to figure out and kind of get it right. So to me, if you're in that, you know, predicament, you need something that you can just whip out real quick and just either spray or attack. You know, so I'm thinking pepper spray, or I've seen those tiger claws on TV.
Well, my nails are like tiger claws to begin with. I mean, if
yeah, I don't think you could actually use the tiger claws.
If we're gonna go that route, I feel like I already have what I need. In fact, actually, after I got attacked, like the guy who like him and his mom like came out to rescue me. That's exactly what he said. He was like, "Oh, your nails. Like, did you scratch him?" And I'm like, "No," but that probably would have been my second move if he like persisted. So I don't know. Yeah, I was like asking around this week. I'm like, does anybody know any arms dealers? Like I need to like get an AK-47 and just like strap it like Arnold Schwarzenegger, just like strap it to my back and like be like running around Beverly Hills so nobody fucks with me.
Maybe we should take a little trip to Texas this weekend, baby.
Yeah.
We get you some guns.
Hell yeah. Or fuck Texas. We should just go to Mexico. You know?
Yeah.
I'll grab a couple. Imagine if I like you saw me like walking around and like I had like a machete. Just like tucked into like my Lululemons, just like a machete hanging down, like in case anybody was gonna fuck with me. Because I feel like intimidation is half the battle. So it's like even if I don't want to use it, it's like what person in their right mind is gonna go after somebody who has like a sword? You're not gonna do that.
Yeah, maybe you should just even have like a walking stick. I feel like if an adult has a walking stick, no person's gonna attack that person.
Like a scepter, and I could just like beat people over the head with it if they fuck with me. I think I actually am down with. Because I feel like royalty would do that. Like they would walk around with like, you know, like I think that's what it's called, right? A scepter.
A scepter is a more like, I think, a fancy version, like maybe made out of gold and maybe have a diamond on top.
Well, I'm
just thinking like a classic stick.
No, I mean, if I'm going to do it, that's exactly how I'm going to do it. It's going to be like bejeweled and like, you know, it's going to be like with feathers and shit. And then like if anybody comes near me, like I want to look hot, but I also want, it to be dangerous. So maybe there could, I think it could be both.
Skeletor had a scepter.
Yeah, there's room for both. But then I also was like, fuck, man, I wish like my boobs could punch people. Like, I wish that, like, how cool would that be if my boobs could just, like, you, like, walked up to me and, like, tried to attack me and, like, both my boobs just, like, 1-2 punched you right in the face?
Well, the problem is people might like that. So people might try to attack you then.
That's true.
If you're known as the person that punches with boobs.
I know. That's true. It's like, you never know these days. Like, I don't know. I feel like I want to learn how to scrap. Like, as soon as the pandemic is over, I want to take, like, a self-defense class so I could just beat the shit out of somebody, whether it's...
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, whether it's like an assailant or, a Republican family member, like whatever it is, I just want to be able to punch somebody in the face if I need to. So I think that's going to be my new plan.
Well, it's not the face you're going to be going for. It's going to be for the balls.
Well, yeah. Well, not if it's... Well, yeah, that's true. That's like an easy way. If it's a dude, that's like an easy way to get out of it. Like a groin kick is like... Most men... I told you last night there was like a groin kick during UFC 252. Sorry, I like marble mouth. And one of the guys got kicked in the groin. And they're like, oh, you get a full minute like to stop the fight after you get a kick in the groin to try to recover. I'm like, oh, that's got to hurt.
Let me tell you, it's like, I know getting hit in the boob hurts a lot. I hear that a lot. So I imagine it's like getting hit in the boob times 1,000.
Well, no, I know that it hurt. I know that it... I don't know personally, but I understand that it hurts like hell, and I totally believe it. But I just want to point out to you that like they have like measured the pain of getting kicked in the balls against the pain of childbirth, and they said that getting kicked in the balls is the equivalent of like a pinch on the arm compared to childbirth.
I've heard that. I don't fully believe it, but
God.
They're scientists. I'm not, so.
All right, well, you try squeezing, a baby out of your urethra and then come talk to me, okay?
You try eating Taco Bell and then taking shits like I do. I think I'm pretty close.
That is gross.
I'm not saying it's a baby, but I'm saying it's like in the realm of a baby size.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like, for me, like, I always say I am not cut out to gestate anything. So I need to have like a surrogate. Like I want to have kids, but I'm either adopting or somebody else needs to do it for me. Like I can barely get through a regular gyno appointment. Like you think I'm going to shove something that's like the size of like a butterball turkey?
Hey, it's Hollywood. I mean, this is where the people do it. You got to keep that body fit. I get it.
Right. It's like very acceptable here, so I don't think I'll have a problem. But by the way, like just to go back a moment and talk about like creepy dudes and knowing how to protect yourself. So I also told you about the AT&T guy who came to set up my internet. That was
yeah.
That's like not even a week after I get attacked by this crazy guy when I'm running. Then I have this dude come from AT&T to set up my internet at my new apartment, and I could tell he's like a little weird, and he's like trying to make small talk, and like me being nice, I'm like, okay, I'll like entertain it. And I'm like making small talk with him. And he keeps bringing up the fact that he was a part of a nudist colony up in San Francisco. And every time he brings it up, I like don't respond because I'm like, I don't fucking know you. You're like twice my age, alone with me in my apartment, setting up my internet. Like this is making me uncomfortable. So I'm not even acknowledging it. And he still wouldn't let it go. I'm like, I just don't understand like what dudes. And by the way, I just want to point out that because sometimes people say this, and I think it's totally fucked up, but I've heard people say like, well, when you dress a certain way or when you put yourself out there a certain way.
Oh, no, that's ridiculous.
And I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. But just like for the sake of argument, just an FYI, I was wearing like baggy pants, a baggy shirt. I had a mask covering like, 70% of my face, no makeup, and my hair looked like, a family of chipmunks was living in it for a year. Like I looked like absolute shit. I was almost embarrassed like to look the way that I did in front of this guy. But like, again, I'm like totally unsexualized, and he still was like pushing the issue. And I'm like, God, like I like let a lot of things fly because, like I'm into bro humor and I am very sexual. So I'm pretty easygoing on that front. But there are some things that it's just like, come on. Like, you got to be better than that as a guy. Guys will
Especially
be like,
when that's your profession. That's his job.
right. But sometimes I hear guys be like, well, like, it's a gray area. I don't know where the line is. And like, in certain cases, I understand that. But like, let me be the one to tell you dudes that like, there is a big line there. You don't go into like a woman's home, especially if you're there to perform a service, you don't know her whatsoever, and just, keep bringing up like, sexual things. It's uncomfortable. So I just was like, fuck, man. And I definitely was sensitive to it because it happened right after, my episode of fucking CSI over in Beverly Hills when I was running. So I was definitely a little more sensitive than normal, but still, like, you should not be.
Maybe you should get into women. Maybe you should, maybe you're rubbing up the wrong pole here. Maybe guys are just awful. Maybe you should just date a girl.
I know this like gorgeous Dominican girl that like I used to Snapchat with, like, I know. I recently started messaging her again, and I'm like, man, like, if there was ever a time, it would be now. But I don't know.
God, Dominican girls are beautiful people.
Yes, they really, really are. So I don't know. I feel like I could like dip in the lady pond, but I don't know that I would ever stay there permanently, Like, I might get a vacation home at the lady pond, but I'm probably not going to like put roots down there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but 2 more attacks later. Let's see where you are.
You're like, give her another 2 years in Hollywood,
Yeah.
and she'll be dating women. All right, I think I'm ready to wrap it up for this week. Do you have anything else to add or anything at all?
If you have any experience at home with creepy AT&T guys, write it in the comments.
Yeah, please do. Or if you have a suggestion of a lactose-free, non-spicy food that can be used during sex, also reply in the comments. We're eager to know what your suggestions are. All right, but until next time, guys, the twins and I love you. Please stay extra safe. Get a taser, get a bear claw, or get buffalo sauce and throw it in somebody's eye, whatever it takes to keep you safe. But again, the twins and I love you. Stay COVID free, and until next week.